Hello everyone, this is Crystal Potthoff from Prayerful Arts. Do not be alarmed. These shells were already broken when I got them. Yes, I bought broken eggshells. These are ostrich eggshells, and can you see how thick that shell is? These are pretty amazing shells. Anyway, so I bought these with the intent that I was going to make some jewelry. I've done ostrich eggs before, but I've only ever done the whole egg. I've never done pieces. So this is going to be quite a new experiment for me. This is what the shells look like in the natural condition. Now this had some yucky stuff on it too, but an ostrich eggshell has a natural enamel, and that needs to be removed if you want the dye to take. So I used a product called Acid Magic. And originally I thought, well, I don't really want it to get on this side, but these shells are so thick, I didn't really think it would be a problem. So I used the Acid Magic, and I just went over it like this with a toothbrush, not one that I use at home, just one for the Acid Magic. And then I had a bucket of water with baking soda in it, that I would put it in it and look at it periodically, because that neutralizes the acid, and then I do it some more. So I have more pieces than this, but I thought I'd start with 6. And you can see the difference in the shell, where this is more white, and when you feel it, it has a chalky feel, where this has a very smooth feel. So I think I've gotten the enamel off of it, and that's really about the only way I can tell, is to hold it up to another piece like that. So what I'm going to do with these, my intent, my idea is I am going to do the grid lines on these, and then I am going to do versions of this pattern and this pattern on these shells. I'm going to do it over the whole shell, and then I'm going to cut them out into pieces for jewelry. I'd like them to have like some of the natural organic lines, but I don't know how well that's going to work, because I definitely have to sand it. We'll see what happens. At first, I got to get the Pasunky design on there anyway. But I'm really excited to just try this. I've never done anything like this before. So we're going to see what happens. And a little update on the egg that I was calling my redemption egg. It's not done yet. So I had the design on there that I waxed when it was the color mushroom. And then I used very light blue, which is a tablespoon of prepared dye, a tablespoon of prepared light blue, tablespoon of vinegar, cup of water. And that's using the light blue from Ukrainian gift shop. The mushroom color is Pasunky USA. So I mix that up, and the light blue, and then I use that, and then I put it in teal, which is also a Ukrainian gift shop color. I wax that area, and then I put it in brick. So this is brick. I'm going to wax in the rest of the circles. I haven't decided if I'm going to wax in this area here. I think I might. And then I will dye it in the final color, which is either going to be brown or black. I haven't decided yet. I'll decide before I get it done, because I'll have to. Okay, well, I'm really excited to get started on this project. And so, like I said, first thing I'm going to do is grid these out, draw that design on, and then see how it goes from there. All right, I'm excited. Let's get going. This was several hours of work. I will say, writing the pattern on the ostrich eggshell is kind of similar. It's a little similar to doing it on the flat paper. Even though it's a curved surface, it's not as curved as the egg. So these are a little more even. It was kind of fun to do that. And so I did it here, and then I did some really big ones here. I had a vision that this was going to be like this big statement piece necklace. That was my vision for that. And then I did this one. This one really took a long time. And then I did this one, which is a little bigger. And this again, I was thinking statement piece. But I have to tell you, so I've done ostrich eggs, but I've always done the whole ostrich eggs. I've never done these pieces. And I had this, I don't know, we'll call it a wave of practicality came over me that said, you don't even know if your drill is going to work. So I showed how thick these eggshells are. I'll get to that in a second. And by comparison, that's a chicken eggshell. So, you know my drill goes through this, my Dremel saw. I don't know if it's going to go through this. I honestly don't know. And I want to make sure, because there's going to be a lot of dust, I'm going to get usually I just wear a mask, but I'm going to get something better before I start cutting these. So this practicality came over me. It's like, you've never done this before. Should you really be spending a lot of time doing this if it's not going to work? I'd already drawn it. But anyway, so I thought, let's start with something simple. And I know you're going to think, oh yeah, it's simple. But this is, it's going to be a really big pendant. Again, statement piece, or maybe it'll be a magnet. We'll see what it's going to be. But so I've drawn it with pencil, and then I waxed this part to be white so that when I go to cut it out, I know where to cut. I'm going to do this one first and hold off on doing these until I do this and I try it. And if this one fails, it just fails. But if it doesn't. And the other thing I was thinking is, I don't know how I'm going to dye this. Well, my first thought was, I'll just put it in the jar of dye. I don't know if this one's going to fit. These might. And I don't know what's going to happen when I put it in the dye also. So again, and I could entirely cover the back of it with wax, but I don't think I'm going to do that because I'd probably miss something anyway. So I'll probably just be putting the whole thing in the dye and seeing how that takes. So another experiment, the dyeing and then really the cutting out. But in the meantime, I worked some more on this one, and I'm starting to put the wax on this one. That I etched this one at the same time I was etching these shells, and I got all of this wax. So I just need to do the final color on this one. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to try dyeing this one, and I'll show you the results from that, and then I'll come back when I'm ready to cut it out, and we'll see how that works. Yeah, that'll be an experiment. We'll see how it works. I don't really want to invest in a big fancy drill because I don't know that I'll do this a lot. So if my drill doesn't work, maybe I have to see what kind of power tools I can borrow from my husband. So, oh, he loves it when I do that. Okay, we'll see what happens. Keep encouraging me. I need it. All right, so last time I said I was going to do a test piece, and here's where I'm at with that. I have dyed it. I put a little bit on it. These little lines right here. This was done before I ever dyed the shell, so those are going to be white. Then I dyed it black, and I put the wax on it for that. And then I etched it. I washed it to see if that would work, but it really didn't. Anyway, so I etched it. And I still have, I don't know how well it shows up, but there's, ostrich eggshells are very pitted. So there's spots where I just cannot get all the black out of it. So I'm just probably going to have to embrace that within the design. So I said I was going to do this one all the way and even cut it out and then see how it worked before I went on to do the other ones. But when I said that, later that evening, I went to a program, an art program, and the speaker was Lisa Nelson Robbie, and I think she has a website, and if she does, I'll link it in the comments. And she does a lot of work with experimenting with paper and mediums, so not Pisanki. It's totally different. But I got so excited listening to her talk about experimenting and trying new things, and so I just went for it. And I've done these two pieces. So this one, I drew the lines, I dyed it in the mushroom, and I waxed all those lines, and then I dyed it in the pumpkin. And kind of my color inspiration is this one. And then I realized, oh, on this one, I did all the lines in white, and here I've done them in mushroom. So I might do a background in white, so we'll see because of the pitting effect. I don't know how that's going to work, but we'll find out. So anyway, yeah, because you know what, if it doesn't work out, there's other things I can do with it, and that's okay. And that was kind of, I felt like listening to her, it was like giving me permission to try something new. So, and if it doesn't work out, it's okay. It's okay. So that's what this is. I'm still going to try to cut this one out. And then this is the other one I did. And when you do Pisanki, you just look at things differently. So when it comes to my dyes, I am a paper towel snob. I will only use Viva paper towels when I dye the egg to pat it off. So this is just my cheapo kitchen towel, but look at the pattern on that. And I looked at it and I thought, oh, that's cool how they did the things. It's like, it's almost like the pattern, the inner circles. I mean, kind of, sort of. And I saw this in the middle. Anyway, so I did this in the middle. I love it. It's so cool. I love the way this worked out. Now this one has a lot of deep pits in it. And so I might even, I don't know, I'm toying around with possibly doing something other than dyeing, but I haven't completely decided that. But anyway, I just had to show you. I'm very excited about it, how it's coming along. I haven't done anything further with this one. It's still waiting to be dyed brown, but I'll get to that. But this is the status of the emu egg that I was also etching while I was etching these two. And I'm letting it really dry. I was hoping for this color all the way through it, but I didn't quite get that. So I might have to put it back in the acid again for some of these areas where it's still a little on the white side. I want it all to be this color, not that color. But I need to let this dry. The emu eggs are a very long process because you put it in the acid and then you let it sit and dry. And then you decide if you want to etch some of it or if you want to put it back in the acid. These are difficult to get even color, but I think I can do better than what I've got right now. But this is going to sit for a little bit. And I'm going to work on these. And if they don't work out, they don't work out. And if they do, fabulous. All right, I'm back. And this has gone way different than I ever thought it was going to go. So this was my original test piece that it needs the wax taken off of it. And then I'm going to try and cut it out after I suit up with full mask and all protection and go outside and see what happens if my drill will actually cut through the ostrich eggshell, or if I need to get something a little more heavy duty. On this one, these here was when I was testing to see what color these markers are. I got these, I don't know where, I'm sure I bought it on Amazon. It just says fine metallic pen, water-based. I thought it was interesting that even though they said water-based, when I put it in the dye, the color stayed on here. It didn't really cover it with the dye. And it was blue, so I'm surprised that the blue didn't like become less noticeable, but it didn't. And that's okay. You can see the other colors because you can't really tell by looking at the cap what color it really is. So that's why I tested it on the eggshell. And so then that's what this one is these metallic markers. And I colored in different areas. And then in this center part here, this area here, I painted it with, I used a white Posca marker. And I was trying, the pitting was really noticeable, and I just didn't like that. But I did it over the top of the wax. So this one also has the wax on it. It needs to have the wax taken off. I have no idea what's going to happen to the colors, to the paint, to the wax, any of it. That's going to be a big learning thing there. And then this one, I really love the way these colors turned out. And I'm like, almost now like, well, I don't know that I want to cut it up into little pieces. So maybe I won't. Maybe I'll just admire it. Anyway, next step, take the wax off. I'll come back and show you what happened with this one in particular. And then I'll suit up and see if that one, I can cut it out of the eggshell or not. We'll see what happens. I'm not going to video that process of cutting it out because there's just going to be a lot of dust and mess, and I don't want that. I'm going to be outside. I don't want that to get into my phone or any of that. So I'll come back and we'll just discuss it. Okay, let's see what happens. Okay, so this is pretty exciting. Here is this piece that, okay, now that I'm touching it, there's still some wax on it. It doesn't show up as well on camera. It's really pretty. But this one had some really dark pencil lines on it, and I can also feel some wax on it. It was harder to get the wax off these than it was the chicken egg. I must have really glommed it on there. Anyway, I will use the lighter fluid and clean that up. But it's really pretty, very earthy feeling, very fall feeling. And then this one, where I use the metallic markers, it looked like maybe the metallic marker smeared a little, but I don't know if that's because I had the paint on there. It's not. The acrylic paint did come off where I painted over it. The paint kind of rubbed off with the wax. So anyway, this one is so cool too. I really love it. Okay, and then here is this one, and this one needs to be cut out. So how I did this, I did this big band of white because that tells me where I need to cut, because it's kind of hard to cut. I mean, I'm going to cut along the black line, but if I don't get all the white off of it, then I can just touch it up with black. And anyway, so I need to do that one. Those colors look really cool. To me, it has a winter vibe, but maybe it's because I used cool colors on it. The blue, green, and purple. Anyway, I like that way that one turned out too. Okay, I'll be back after I cut this one out. And then, so once I cut this one out, then I'll have an idea of what I'm going to do with these. I'm not sure yet. So we're just going to wait and see. Keep my mind open to see what happens when I go to cut this one out. All right. Wish me luck. Well, I am happy to report that I had some success. This is all that's left out of cutting it out. And what I am doing, I started to do it and then I stopped so you could see it on the video. It's white all along here. So I am going to take my black Posca and I'm just going to sharpen up the black lines. And then I'm actually going to take a file and go outside and smooth down. That's a little rough here. I was trying to smooth it out with the Dremel, and I was getting concerned that I might possibly ruin it. So I'll just, I have a file that I'll use to smooth out the edges, sharpen it up with this. I will, even though it's very thick, again, so that's the thickness of an ostrich eggshell. That's the thickness of a chicken eggshell. So it was a lot easier than I thought it was. I guess I just had myself psyched up. It was going to be really hard, but it worked better than I thought. So I'm very excited about that. I will still, even though it's very thick, I will still put resin on it, but I'm going to wait until I have some more pieces that need the resin because that's kind of a messy process. And if I'm going to mix up the resin, I only want to have to do it. I want to do it and do a lot of pieces at the same time. So I may, and so now what I'm thinking is I had this one all drawn out, but I think that's going to be too small. So I think I may take this. I really like this better. I like the bigger one better, but I've done this pattern. I've done this one. I think I want to try doing some different ones on these. So I have another idea on something that I want to try really different. We'll see. But anyway, this was fun. I'm so glad that I listened to Lisa Nelson Robbie and took a chance and just went for it. So thank you, Lisa, for that inspiration. And thank you for watching. Have a great day.